What's up guys, Person here, and today we gonna get rid of the glasses for the rest of time because I got contact lenses and they actually work. Gotta say, weird feeling that I can just see things and they're not blurry, but yeah. Future technologies. But here's what the video is actually about. It's bad investment advice. So I looked at all the dust that I have in Hearthstone and then I was like, let's craft a golden legendary. And I really like GVG when it comes to animations. So I crafted myself a golden Mimrons Head. When you have the card and 2 other mags at the start of your turn, you summon Voltron. He looks so pretty when you summon him. The animation is great, the animation on the board is great, not just the golden animation for the card itself. And I realized that I have not seen that in like 2 years. I mean, there's a good reason why you haven't seen that, the card is not good. But it got me thinking. There must be a bunch of other cards that have insane animations, things that the graphic artists spend thousands of hours on. Okay, probably more like 5, just to make a single animation for a card, and yet we never see it. And so I came up with this list of the top 15, 17, I'm not sure about the title yet, but about like 15 card animations that are pretty beautiful, that you never see. And when seeing all the cards again that I used to play over the past 5 years, I was pretty happy about the good memories that came back. But before we start looking at the animations, let's make a smooth transition. And I'm happy to announce that today's sponsor is Honeygain. If you ever wanted to make money with no effort, look no further. Now you can make money just for sharing your internet connection through your device. So it's like Airbnb, but for your internet. The app is completely safe as it doesn't access any of your personal data. Instead, it uses just the internet connection to gather various information from the internet. For example, price comparisons or where fake goods are sold online. Okay, now, don't expect to earn millions, but maybe something like a Spotify monthly subscription, maybe a Netflix subscription, or some hacks in Hearthstone. Could be purchased just by having the app open in the background. So technically, after you set it up, it's free. If you have a Windows, Android or macOS device, you can sign up today by clicking the link down below and using my special promo code that is probably right here, and you will get your first $5 for free. And I mean that's $5 for free in your Honeygain account. So thanks again to Honeygain for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to it. Time to look at pretty things. So the very first thing that came to mind was Twisting Nether, but then I realized there's a card called Zephyrus in this game that just gives you Twisting Nether whenever you want to clear the board at 10 mana. So despite the card looking really pretty, we all see this card almost daily. So for the fact that this video is about card animations that you don't ever see, this doesn't belong to the list. What is also to note, just because a card is in this list or not in this list doesn't mean the animation is great or bad or anything like that. That's just my personal opinion, which can be wrong 100%. So whenever I'm wrong and you think something doesn't belong in here, let me know in the comments down below, because they're very good for the algorithm. You know what else is good for the algorithm? Liking and subbing. So while you do that, let's look at the first animation. Kiri. Kiri is not the best card. The card is pretty useless. Gotta say, you can just play the Solar and Lunar Eclipse the card gives you, but the animation when you play him, her, it looks fantastic. Look at those things that go on there. A Lunar and a Solar Eclipse. Wow. Very astrophysics-like. And then both when you play the Lunar Eclipse as well as the Solar Eclipse, you have those pretty circles going around your hero portrait. Going around meaning they're in you have seen the animation. And for that, Kiri deserves a spot on my list, which is in no particular order. I would like to play the card more, but the thing is, if you play Standard, you just don't play it, and if you play Wild, you also just don't play it. Oh, feels Kiri, man. Must be hard being a Druid Legendary. Unless you're Omo, which I think also does not see any play at all. And despite the animation not filling the entire screen, it looks like that. The moment you summon this minion, you see this flower petal pattern on the field. And when I was looking at the animation in slow motion, it kind of looked like Patrick's star. It just looked like a starfish. Because it's a pink star. Yep. And then I cast a spell, and it was alright. But the fact that it's just a single minion, and the effect is on the single minion, and the card is kinda new, it's like 5 months old, and really nobody plays that card because there's no reason to play it, I thought I might include it. Then I was thinking back to my favorite deck ever made, and there was Highkeeper Ra OTK in Warlock, where you play the giant man, and he has those light rays that fly down on the field, deal 20 damage to all enemies. So, like with all the other clips you will see, I thought, hey, let's record that. So I went into the game, I drew my entire deck, I did the combo where you play Glinda Crowskin and then you play Mogul Cultist to get the echo effect on that, and I realized that it just doesn't work. This must be a new bug, at least I've not heard about anyone mentioning that, but Glinda just broke. Like the whole point you play the card is that your minions have echo, but your minions just don't have echo, so you can't play them again from your hand. I was like, whatever, let's just try again. Maybe it's just a single bug that happens once, appears once, so I played again, drew my entire deck, and the same thing happened. So I was playing 5 minions here, and while the first 2 didn't work, the third one, the Mana Saber, got back to my hand, and then 2 that didn't work, but Mistress of Mixtures worked, and I was like, Why? So Glinda is like, maybe it's like an ogre. It's like a 50-50 chance to attack the wrong enemy. It's 50-50 if you get a card back to your hand or not. But for the whole animation thing, this is how the animation looks like. You have those 7 circles, they all happen together. You're like, wow, fireworks. All the light rays coming down and it deals damage. Wow, high keeper ra. And because this card is terrible, especially since this combo actually got nerfed, when the entire Echo keyword due to Snip Snap became so that minions have to cost at least 1 mana, not less when they have Echo, this just, yeah, doesn't do much. And while it takes some time to set that up, the next thing also takes some time, and that is the Uther OTK. When you play Paladin, whether it's Standard or Wild, you play Librams or you play like Odd Paladin, where you summon a bunch of dudes. And then because you like your dudes, you maybe just want to buff them and win. But there are also other archetypes of Paladin. One being the OTK Paladin, which uses the Death Knight Uther to summon 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse, I guess that's the reference. And then you have an OTK. It's like Mechathune, one of the effects where you really just win the game when it happens. And for Uther, you not just have 4 different colored animations. Every single time you hero power, the horseman rides into the battlefield from the bottom left corner. But also when all 4 are summoned and the OTK happens, your opponent's portrait blows up and you have a bunch of ghosts escaping that. Even when you summon Uther himself, the board gets kind of bluish, like something bad is about to happen. And for that, for a fun Paladin deck with a good OTK, it deserves a spot on my very accurate list. Next, we get a spell that only ever saw play in a meme-ish Druid deck. So while Druid has a bunch of mana thingies so he can ramp, there's this one card which makes this a lot faster, and that is called Astral Communion. It is one of those cards with Cataclysm. They not just have an amazing effect, amazing meaning you lose your entire hand, but also have a pretty animation. Those are some of the spells that you never want to see when you play York, but that do happen from time to time. And with Astral, you see this giant blue cyclone in the middle. It's like a blizzard storm that happens, it's full of magic, and you will have turn 10 on turn 1. Is this card good in any deck ever? Nope. No, it isn't. Turns out when you lose your entire hand, you probably lose the game. When they tried to put wildcards into Standard in like 2018 at the end of the year, this was one of the cards. And to look at the other fact that still sees no play, Cataclysm. You can technically play that with Mechathune, Warlock, and Wild, which doesn't see any play since Katas got nerfed. You can play it in Discard Warlock, which is bad because you have the board control and then you lose your entire board. So in other words, the card doesn't see play anymore. But it's pretty. You have fire, meteors raining down from the skies. Yep, English is harder than I expected. Then we have Soul Mirror and Priest, which is kinda bluish. It takes the entire board from the enemy, makes it your board, and while doing so, it throws in those bluish lines. It's like a wave, but it's not a wave. And at least in the game what I play, people don't use that card, as it's just not good. So for me, this great mediocre removal spell deserves a spot. About like a year and a bit ago, I made a video, which is by the way close to 100,000 views, called the top animations in Hearthstone, the top 50 something something. And even in my thumbnail, I used Tree of Life. And that is because it's so pretty, but nobody uses that. The entire game board gets like a little stroke around that in green. You see the yellow healing energy, both portraits are restored back to 30 health. The only way you would ever play this card is if you go for the Cthulhu achievement, where you have to play the new Cthulhu the Shadowed and then deal 30 damage to the enemy and win the game because of them while they're at full health. I'm good at explaining. And for that you would put in Tree of Life just to heal your opponent and then kill them using Cthulhu. So technically this card is useful, but it just isn't. Playing Reno is a lot more efficient than spending 9 mana and then having no minion. But hey, every single time you cast that, you can be happy and be like, wow, green and yellow. And what is next to green, as we can see in the background, and that is red. Red is like Deathwing. The thing about Deathwing is, I think you played him in like 2014, 2015, just in like slower decks because you actually can win when you play a single giant minion. Now it's kind of different, nobody plays Deathwing anymore, but he is the OG. He was there before Tree of Life, and he makes fire rain down from the sky. One theory, you might have heard of that before, is that when you play Doomsayer, and he says the end is coming, and you see in the golden animation there like fireballs raining down from the sky as well, that might be a reference to Deathwing. Or it isn't. I'm not sure. It might have been that I made that up. Another card that just doesn't see any play but looks pretty is Mimrons Head. You used to play that card in Torquagle Priest, at least in Wild, where you play Torquagle to swap decks with your opponent when your deck is empty, and then when they use the spell to swap back, you play Mimrons Head and get the back to back. In other words, you just make the combo work and happen so that you end up winning. I've not encountered a single person playing that this year, so I think it's safe to say Mimrons Head doesn't see any play. Now we take a look at Voria. And there are 2 cards in there. Actually, one is neutral, but they're kind of related. And those are the ETCs, the Elite Chief Torrents. Elite Tauren Chief. Mix that up. The first guy is a Voria of Rock. You drop him and he has an entire concert going on. You see the headline, the lights, the stage. He was one of the cards given to people that played in the beta version of Hearthstone. And fun fact, you can't craft the golden version. And he just has an amazing animation that is probably better than all the other cards. At least personally, I think that is the best one in the entire game. And in the last expansion, he got the new version of himself. At least a card with the same name, and that is the ETC God of Metal. It is a little bit less flashy, but the color scheme makes more sense. It's a Voria card, which is red. The card itself and the artwork is red. The fire on all four corners are red. And his logo, as well as the animation itself, is red. So I think the color they went for is red. That's what I learned in color theory in art class in school. And now I can make use of that. To be fair, the card actually sees play in the ETC OTK, so it doesn't really belong in this list. But I felt like, ETC old, ETC new, let's mix them together, put them in here. Onwards we go. I'm kind of running out of words that I can use to make transitions. Next is the Priest Prime card, the Reliquary of Swords. If you get spooked out by animations in card games made for children, then look away, but when you play the card, there's this face coming out of the entire map trying to eat your soul. And when you play the bigger version of it, the 6/8 untargetable with lifesteal, pretty good effect gotta say. Also as Taunt, despite Taunt being cheat, it is an even bigger face that tries to eat your soul. Haven't seen the card in a long time, but it's really pretty. This is one of the animations, even in the golden version where it's kind of moving around, where you feel like the legendary card is actually a legendary and it deserves to have that animation. Then we get an OG card, and that is Elise. Not Elise the Trailblazer, not Elise the other one, but Elise Starseeker. You play the card, it's from League of Explorers, and it makes this map on the map. And with the map, you get a map into your deck. Then you draw the map from your deck and you shuffle the golden monkey. And the golden monkey, similar to Reliquary of Souls, is also a giant face that tries to eat you. But instead of eating you, it actually just spits into your hand and your deck, and then transforms those cards into legendaries. And sometimes when you do that, you get another Elise, which then gives you another map into another monkey, which can give you another Elise, and the cycle is endless until you run out of cards. This card used to see play in like Control Voria like 5 years ago, and it was really random what legendaries you get when you play the monkey, but now the card doesn't see play ever. It's just a little bit hard to pull this combo off. First of all, you gotta draw the minion, then you gotta draw the map, and then you gotta draw the monkey. That's like 3 things you gotta do. And then the effect is just play Rough Farm. So I can just skip 2 steps in there and just play Warlock and Rough Farm and make this a lot easier. For the next and last neutral card, we have Alar. I crafted this card in golden because it was terrible. If nobody ever sees that in golden, I can at least see it. Not wearing glasses limits my ability to speak. But you play that bird, and boy, he has those flame wings when he flies in there. It looks like a mount you would like to get in World of Warcraft, and even if it dies, it arises from the ashes. Now you might see there was like a fatigue effect in front of that, so just ignore that part and focus on Firebird. It's pretty bad, the card is not good. It should have Taunt or Lifesteal or anything like that. And sometimes your opponent trade into the card, don't read the ashes effect, and then you get a free Alar. And you know what people say about free birds? They make up their own mind? And for the last card, 2 cards-ish, I first off thought including Kaladin, because when you play Kaladin and you top deck him, he destroys the entire board. But after watching this a couple times, it doesn't look that flashy, it doesn't look that good. To be fair, it has more animations than Alar, as it hits multiple things instead of just a little circle where the card is being placed on the board. But it also doesn't look that good, so let's cut Kaladin. Which makes the last card Rin the First Disciple / all these seals that you use for 25 mana, and then in the end Azari, so like the entire package of 31 mana. So you play Rin, you get all those circles to your hand, and then you play the circle spell. Over and over and over, the next seal, another one, and it upgrades along the lines. It reminded me of the little seals that are around cards for Mage, like those Dalaran signs. And when you spend way too much mana to get the 10/10 to your hand, you play Giant Green Fireball Man, drop him on the board, and the opponent's deck just blows up. And with all the cards flying around in there, it looks even better than expected. And with all of that, I would say, thanks so much for watching. Let me know your favorite animations of cards that don't really see play. For example, cards like Plague of Flames looks amazing, but it's a staple in Warlock. There are just way too many things that look pretty but as staples. So I try to figure out the ones that you don't see often. My name is Solem. I don't have to wear glasses anymore. Leave a like, sub, that stuff so my ego gets boosted. I would like to hit 69 for 20 in subs before the year ends. So in the next 8 days, if we get like 600 something subs, which should be possible, I would like to take a screenshot. And then I can post that on Twitter and then I get likes or something. Looking forward to get my internet validation. I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas. Maybe you get some presents you want to have. Maybe you get a Battle Pass upgrade in Hearthstone as a gift. Thanks again for watching and the sponsor earlier. Appreciate that and take care.